Welcome, Annie Collins here for the Makers Movement. Today we'll be creating this Happy New Year card. Let's go over the products I used to create this card. We have the Makers Movement Sarcastic New Year set. This is a 13-piece set. It has the large Happy New Year sentiment and 6 other images. It has these bursts over here in stars, smaller bursts, and 2 larger bursts on the bottom. It has sentiments like, it can't get any worse. Same crap, new resolution. Wishing you a less stressful new year. I stayed up for this. Insert your positive phrase here. And let's get it right this time. So today I will be using the large new year and the it can't get any worse, right? Along with the 2 smaller bursts and the 2 large bursts on the bottom. To create the card, we'll be using VersaMark Ink, VersaFine Ink, Clair in Paradise, our anti-static tool, and 2 embossing powders. One is Iridescent Opaque and the other one is Shimmering Night Sky. One is a white and one is in blue tones. Our papers here, let me gather them up. We have a small strip of heavyweight cardstock that I cut into a double fishtail banner for our sub-sentiment. A piece of vellum, which I cut up with a stitched die cut. And this is 25-pound weight vellum. 65-pound layering cardstock in light blue, holographic paper, and a 110-pound card base as A2 size, and it's going to be top folding landscape. I also trimmed my papers to be just a little hair smaller than each, except for the vellum, which is cut much smaller because I did use a die for that. So I just, excuse me, I have it where just a little bit shows through. So you have a little bit of that sparkle showing through. All right, so let me clear our desk so we can get started on our project. We're going to start by stamping the 2 bursts on our light blue panel. And I put them opposite each other, top right, lower left. And we're going to use our VersaMark ink to stamp these out. First, I use my anti-static tool so that only the embossing powder sticks to our image. Get that on there. Mine is kind of clogged, so I have to keep pounding it to get it to come out. So here's, excuse me, excuse me. Here's our VersaMark ink, and I'm going to stamp this twice to get a nice impression. Once I have that on there, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle the Iridescent Opaque, and it's a nice white embossing powder with a little shimmer to it. And I'm fine with our stamp just going off the edge is basically what I wanted, just for it to look like it's bursting off the card. I'm going to heat set it from on top and below so we can have minimal warping. There you can see the nice shimmer that adds. So now we're going to bring in our vellum. I went ahead and put a piece of repositionable double-sided adhesive to the bottom of my platform here. I'm going to pull out the large stamp that reads Happy New Year. I'm going to center that. And then the smaller bursts that I'm going to place on the opposite ends, so top left, bottom right, from the way we had the other ones on our blue cardstock. And get those, see those are the 2, the small one on the top and the bigger one towards the bottom. I'm going to pick them up and I'm going to ink them again with our VersaMark ink. I'm going to use some anti-static powder here as well. I had to open it this time, get some more out. Excuse me. And then I'm going to use my soft bristle brush here to wipe off any of the extra powder. I'm going to ink it up and stamp it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stamp it twice to get a nice impression here. So now that I have a nice wet impression, I'm going to go ahead and use the Shimmering Night Sky on this panel. This is a beautiful embossing powder that has various shades of blue and silver sparkles in it. It's gorgeous. And it does shimmer like the night sky. The name fits it beautifully. Right, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to heat it on top and then below. Be careful when heating vellum, it burns quickly, so you want to have your heat tool as hot as possible, hit it quickly, and move on. Otherwise, the vellum burns. It turns an awful browny color. It just burns. Okay, so here we're going to go to use our stamp our sentiment, our sub sentiment. We're using VersaFine, Clair, and Paradise. And the sub one we use is Can't Get Any Worse, right? Here's to hoping that our new year doesn't go worse than what it has been, that it gets better. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the backing of the adhesive on this layering panel, which is just holographic paper. I got this at the Dollar Tree under the Jot brand. It came with a variety of holographic papers. So now I'm going to use a little art glitter glue on the back of this blue card panel. This is the one we stamped our starburst with it, or firework burst. Either one would work. I'm just letting that little peak of the blue holographic paper show through. And now to adhere our vellum, you know, adhering vellum is tricky because everything shows through it. I'm just going to use the stamped image here or sentiment, I should say, to place glue behind it. So I'm just putting light little dots behind the thinner letters, a little bit more adhesive on the thicker letters and on behind the bursts that we have on either end. Now you can leave your card here and add your sub sentiment, but I'm going to go ahead and add a few sequins. These sequins are from Doodles Paper Playground. This is called the With a Bang Sparkle Blend set. I will of course have it linked below, but I'm also going to use these sequins here to add a little more adhesive to our vellum. We can hide it right behind it, put an acrylic block on there to hold it, and it'll adhere better to our paper. I'm going to repeat the process on the other side with some more of these little sequins, and then again hide our adhesive behind the sequins. So now I'm going to go ahead and place my sub sentiment here. I had a little bit of foam adhesive to this, and I'm going to place a low profile foam adhesive, and I'm going to place it just below our larger sentiment towards the right. Adding a little more adhesive behind our sequins to make sure our paper stays down. And now our card is finished. It was quick, it was easy, just a little heat setting along the way. Again, this is the Happy New Year stamp set, and we used VersaFine, Clair, and Paradise, VersaMark Ink, embossing powder in Iridescent, Opaque, Shimmering Night Sky, and the star of the show, the Sarcastic New Year set. I will have everything that I use linked in the description box below. I'm so glad that you stopped by today, and I wish you all a very happy new year. Thank you, and I hope you found some inspiration.